All right. Okay, so my talk about FusionPBX. So I thought I'd tell a little bit about FusionPBX to begin with. First of all, well, I started it actually on pfSense firewall. It was the FreeSWITCH package on pfSense. Ran it on there for a couple of years, and then decided to make it more broadly, so it could be more broadly used for everyone. So I wanted it to work on multiple platforms like BSD, Ubuntu, Debian, or various CentOS, anyway, various operating systems. And so I kept working towards that. Anyway, so I'm playing it a little dangerous here and actually going to set it up and try and demonstrate and get it working. So all I've done so far is gone to the website, and I have the install. This is on a Vultr server, vultr.com. Anyway, and let's see. And then what I did is I did Debian 8 at the moment, and we will get this updated for FreeSWITCH's 1.8 as soon as the packages are ready. And that'll be on Debian Stretch for Debian 9. All right, and anyway, then I went to the download page, and I ran the, logged into the shell, ran those 2 lines right here, and that gave us the install. I just needed to save a few minutes of time, and then I logged in. Okay, so that gave us this. It gives us the, after the install finishes, it gives us the details of how to log in. It's a random password. Some people call us up and ask for the password, and I don't have a clue what it is. So because it's random, it's not safe for us to do a preset password. All right, so we had a new release this year. The new release is the one I'm demonstrating now. And I was going to show the Let's Encrypt install, because we're going to use it to, because right now we're using a self-signed certificate. And I didn't use the most standard one, I think is CertBot for Let's Encrypt. I used one called Dehydrated, because Dehydrated is a bash shell script, very fast, and I like fast. So let's give it a try. So CD, I've demonstrated this before in the past. The script will do that I'm about to run in the Debian resources and just run Let's Encrypt. Okay, if I wanted to do a wildcard DNS, I could do *dot and choose your domain name. In this case, I'll just say FusionPBX.com. I'm not going to run this at the moment. If I hit enter, it says it's going to present us at the moment for a DNS text record, and you take that text record, put it up in your DNS, hit, probably a good idea to wait a minute or two, hit enter, and then you have wildcard from Let's Encrypt. I've demonstrated that before in the ClueCon Weekly, I think. So what I'm going to do right now is just do ClueCon.FusionPBX.com. Make sure you spell it right. Looks good. And then I put in my email address. No secrets, just my name, markjcrane@gmail.com or FusionPBX.com, whichever. And because this one is not a wildcard certificate, it will put the validation file on the web server, and it'll be done here in just a few seconds. So right now it says responding to the challenge, requesting the certificate. And there we go. It finished up the full chain, and it actually modified the Nginx config to use the Let's Encrypt and also restarted Nginx. And it configured FreeSWITCH's TLS. Well, it created all the files needed for FreeSWITCH. Okay, so now we need to go tell FreeSWITCH to use it. So to do that, I'm going to go to Variables, and we go to Internal, and we're going to set the internal SSL enable. It's set to false. We'll set that to true. And one more. Okay, now we have enough to get the, so I just went to the status, SIP status, and flushed the cache, and now I'm just going to go into FreeSWITCH and probably do something. Usually you do service FreeSWITCH restart. Okay. And now I'm in the FreeSWITCH console, and I'm going to crash it. fsctl crash. It's the fastest way to restart. We'll do -R to have it retry until it's ready. I've actually never seen it corrupt anything, so there is maybe a chance of it, but anyway. All right, so I'll do a status. That looks good. Let's look at this page again. Okay, so there's TLS on our SIP profiles that are running. It is actually important after we do this to enable the TLS. We also need to make sure we restart FreeSWITCH. It didn't work until you do that. So make sure to restart it. Okay, next. So we have Let's Encrypt running. We have FreeSWITCH running. And I'm going to go to the SIP profile here. And we're going to look at the SIP profile for doing the WebRTC. So there is a WSS binding. Okay, if you're using an older version of Fusion, you would need to add this setting yourself. You hit the, actually there's no plus button. There's just fields down here that you could add the WSS binding. But right now on a new install, as of this afternoon, it includes this. So, all right, so there's the WSS binding, and it's enabled. I need that on any profile that I intend to register to. So I just did that on the internal profile. Next, I'll get out of FreeSWITCH and do IP tables -L. Okay, I was looking for the port for 7443 to be allowed in IP tables. Just making sure it's there. And trying to emphasize that you have to open up the port for the WebRTC to be able to do it. Okay, I'm going to flush the cache again. I can rescan. Knows it's. All right, let's just crash it again. Oh. Okay, we look at the status again. Status, SIP status. Okay, at this point, we now have the WSS. So WSS stands for Secure WebSockets. Yeah, okay, so we're really prepared now to be able to do WebRTC with any WebRTC client. So what kind of WebRTC clients are out there? Well, there are a bunch. I'll just name a few. SIP.js, JSSIP, Janus, put a few more in here. All you have to do to find them, by the way, is a search engine search to say WebRTC SIP. If you say WebRTC only, it's going to just give you information on strictly WebRTC. It's kind of important to know if you're trying to do SIP with a SIP registration, the SIP is actually being handled with the WebSockets, and the WebRTC is for the media to do, and together they make up the WebRTC SIP client. Okay. So now I'm going to install our experimental WebRTC client. Oh, by the way, we also have, right now, we're prepared to be able to do Virto at this point. So you could do the Virto communicator using the, you can get good information on the WebRTC as well from Giovanni and Anthony's book for FreeSWITCH 1.8 has a lot of WebRTC and Virto in there. So, all right. Okay, so next I wanted to install this. So our WebRTC client right now, not too refined yet. We'll have that corrected soon. All right, so I just went to my source directory and we did a git clone from GitHub FusionPBX apps. Let me show you where that is. Well, we'll go that far. Okay, so this just pulls various different apps if we pull this repository, and we're going to copy it into where we can use it. And we have several in here. Some of them are old, some are new. All right, so that's what we'll do now, ls, and I go into apps directory. And I could copy, at the moment we'll do zip.js, and I copy it into the web directory. There we go. All right, now I would need to update the menu. So I'll just say menu defaults. Okay. All right, I'm going to create a couple extensions. Okay, got some extensions now. And now I'm going to assign the extension to the account that I'm logged into. What that does is it... Sure. I'll put 9 more. In case anybody else wants to play with it. Okay, so, all right. Not a super simple password there, Giovanni. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know about that, Giovanni. I'll do Glucon 2018 G for Giovanni. Ta. All right, well, there you go. Okay, so now we have some extensions. Now, when I assign my extension, it's essentially saying that when this person logs in, they're assigned to this particular extension. In some systems, when you log in, you have one extension assigned to you. In Fusion, you can actually have several. Pros and cons to that. So, all right, so I'm going to log back in to associate that to my session. And here is the SIP.js. It's SIP.js in the background. I told you this is a little bit being worked on still. So I loaded the page. It got the information directly from the registration information I assigned to the extension. I assigned my user account to the extension. It knows the registration information automatically. So if everything worked, when I loaded the page, it registered, hopefully. Let's look at registrations. And there we are, it shows SIP.js. Okay, and we can see Giovanni also registered on 107. Okay. So now we can go to that SIP.js. I was over. I'm notoriously bad at tabs. Before my talk, I shut down more than 200. All right, so let's see here. Apps of JS. Okay, so I should be able to call 107. Oh. If we want to do video, I need to add H.264 support. So I'm going to the variables. All right, so I added the H.264. I'm just going to put it in both places. Okay, and to get the new codecs added without killing any calls, you just hit rescan. So I'll rescan it on any profile I want it to be on. We can then verify, did the codec show up? And you can see that it says H.264. Go to SIP.js and 107. Giovanni, you have that open? Oh, I'm in Firefox. That's okay. I should mention that browser support typically is very good in Chrome and pretty good in Firefox. So we'll see if it works. All right, hit allow. Did not work. Okay. Registrations, Giovanni. Well, you're registered. Yes, you are. Yeah. All right, so let's see if I am now. Okay, there we go. So what client are you using actually, Giovanni? Okay. Okay, all right, thank you. All right, well, we did this in the, but we didn't get to demonstrate that. I'm going to do another registration on here. I'm just going to put in a fake MAC address for the soft phone of just 12 zeros. That's not 12 apparently. Good enough. And hit, where's my time? I'm short on time. Okay. All right, we can scan it with the QR code. Yes? That one's working? Oh, the echo. Eco. I can't awesome. Well, I can't pronounce it in your language either, so. All right, thanks, Giovanni. All right. Well, I said creative uses of a WebRTC client, so I guess I should mention those for just a second. Not as creative as I had hoped to come up with, but some ideas. So people use the SIP client, WebRTC SIP client as a button on your website. So you could have a support button. Apparently this is relatively popular. So you would need to protect that, however. If you put one of those buttons with WebRTC on your website, you'd want to make sure that it couldn't call anything except where you wanted it to go. Okay, you could obviously use it as a phone for an operator panel, so you can get information on BLF presence. A phone, an agent phone for the call center. Real-time chat. Because it can receive SIP messages, you can use it for SMS. Relay that information to SMS. Video conferencing. Door phone. Kind of a geeky video security for your home. Okay, and other than that, I need to wrap up, but quickly I just wanted to mention a few key features in the new release. We added transactions. That was actually sponsored by somebody here in the conference, so I'll say thank you to them. All right, and this simply keeps track of kind of a before and after changes, who did it, what time they did it, and their name. And whether it succeeded or not or failed, yep. And then if I go to email templates, we have multilingual voicemail templates for various languages. Of course, more can be added. All you have to do is hit the plus and add another language. And another little highlight, people wanted to be able to see the XML, and Fusion, it's storing the information primarily in the database because it scales really well that way. If I click on XML, but for people like us, people, we'd really want to see what's going under the hood. So this option for XML, this is information from the database, but you can see it in the XML here. But this also means that you can go to FreeSWITCH's website, grab some XML, and then you could hit, let's back. In the dial plan, you can hit add. Once you add a dial plan advanced, fill in the information here, hit save. You can hit the XML button and paste in the XML from FreeSWITCH's books or website. So it gives you some of that advantage too. And one last thing I wanted to point out. Fusion for years has been using memcache. So if we're using the database, we have it hit the database the first time when there's no cache, picks up it and caches the information, and we'd cache that information in memcache. Okay, and that way the next time we got a request, we wouldn't have to go back to the database to get the information. Okay, well, to scale better, honestly, I thought memcache was the best way to go. Okay, but because it stores its information in RAM, however, the interesting thing is we're getting to that RAM through the network, or you could do it through a network, a Unix socket. But I think the ironic thing here is that we now have multiple with different types of caches, and the other one is a simpler concept. I'm going to go to default settings, and we go to cache, and it says location. You can cache to the temp directory. You could cache to dev SHM for a RAM drive. So that would cache to RAM drive. And if I change memcache, I could set that to, instead of memcache, I set it to file. I know this sounds like a low-tech solution, but it's not a listening service. It's it feels like closer direct access to RAM. And with some tools out there, you can replicate the cache across multiple servers in a simple way, including multi-master. So yeah, yes. Well, to repopulate is what you're saying. The way Fusion's cache works is on demand. So it won't, it's not pre-cached unless you were to essentially request everything. I guess you could have some, a little effort, we could have pre-caching capability. But right now, generally, if you have it, let's say, reload. All right, once I've done that, I gotta do one thing, and then okay. We have to let one of the configuration files get updated so that it could know that it needs to cache to the file cache. So I just gave permission to be able to write to that cache file, to that config file. So I do upgrade app defaults here. And then that instructs FusionPBX to take the information that we're storing, put it in the config file so that so it will use the file cache. And it doesn't pre-cache at all. It just, when we need to get a register or we get a call, it just does it on demand. Okay. If now I go to status, SIP status, and I flush cache right here, then it would clear out whatever is in the cache, in the file cache. Anyway, one of the things I like about file cache more is that it's a file, and you can go there with any favorite editor and go look at the actual cache, take a look and see what's there. I mean, we're makers and people that are technical, so we like to look into things deeper and get more information. So I like it for that reason. But anyway, performance-wise, ironically, file cache actually beats memcache, especially if you put it in a RAM drive. It's very fast, and there's no listener that could get too busy. So, and then the other thing is that, like I said, it works. It can be distributed, that cache, across multiple servers with the right tools. Anyway, yes. It is the FreeSWITCH standard XML. The cache is literally the XML that we'd hand over to FreeSWITCH. With one thing, we've added a few attributes so you could tell in the database where that particular item came from. So a few attributes that FreeSWITCH ignores, but we pass it over and FreeSWITCH handles it just fine. But it's exactly FreeSWITCH's cache. All right, my time, I'm sure, is up.
All right, big round of applause for Mark Crane.